Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another episode of the Suffolk Non-League Show. Once again, we are live across Facebook, across Twitter, and across YouTube. It is Monday night, and this is the only place to be if you are a fan of football in the Suffolk area. Adam, how are you, mate? You doing well?
Very good. Yeah, not too bad at all. How about yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. Can't complain for a Monday. It's not been too
Very
bad,
good.
to be fair. Not too bad.
There's been a bit of news, a little bit of news. Maybe not as much as we've had other weeks, but there's been a bit on it.
I swear people plan this. They sit there on the weekend and they go, do I release the news on a Sunday morning, which will give them time to prep? No. Let's do it on a Monday. Every single Monday, there's some sort of news item dropping.
At least we're stocking the freshest produce, so to speak.
Yeah, it's absolutely guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed. But yeah, another eventful weekend in Suffolk non-league football. We had a lot of games going on, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And obviously, we've got some news to kind of cover as well. I can already see loads of you piling into the chat and into the comment section, which is absolutely fantastic. We'll get to your hellos in a moment. Just if everyone at this point, if you are watching from a Twitter perspective, give the video a retweet and share it onto your timeline. If you are on Facebook, share the video as well. And if you are watching from a YouTube perspective, remember to hit the thumbs up. It goes a massive way to getting this video promoted and shared out as much as possible. And I believe at the point of going live, we are 2 subscribers away from 1,500. We are so close. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
Please do.
Please subscribe. But before we go further, just a very quick word from our sponsors. A massive thank you to all of our sponsors on the Suffolk Non-League Show: Starling and Lock, Matchday Marketing, GBS, Your Shirts, and Clabber Creative. GBS are a family-run construction company in Ipswich operating nationwide with over 30 years experience, offering fire protection, diamond drilling, commercial building, health and safety, and asbestos removal. Starling and Lock, self-employed electrician in the Stowmarket and Suffolk area since 1989, offering domestic work and certificates for people buying and selling houses. An NIC/EIC member. Matchday Marketing, sports marketing and branding company, helping enhance the image and profile of grassroots and non-league clubs at a very low cost, utilising over 20 plus years in the game. Your Shirts, eye-catching, professional-looking garments for your business, team, club or organisation with a range of printing methods to cover all individual needs. Clabber Creative is a creative agency based in Framlingham, Suffolk, offering fully managed football club websites. They are about giving your club a professional image and the ongoing support to maintain it. Links for all of these companies will be in the description below. Go and check them out and tell them that DeeJam has sent you. And just off the top of that sponsorship video, Adam, we just want to give a shout out to Clabber Creative, obviously with the competition that they are currently running for all of our viewers. I'm going to bring the graphic up. Do you want to just explain a little bit about what people need to do in order to get involved with that competition?
I certainly do. So Clabber have teamed up with us to provide one lucky club, whoever wins the competition, with a fully managed website for a year, absolutely free of charge, which has got a value of around £250. The websites that they do are absolutely phenomenal, and it will give your club a really professional, cutting edge look and help you stand out from the crowd digitally, which is something that we want everyone to be able to do. We've tweeted a competition link out and we'll continue to do so. We just need you to retweet that and fill in the form to enter, which is provided on a link there. Each person can only enter once, but more than one person can enter from your club. So you can sort of up your club's chances of winning. As soon as it's shared out and you've filled in, you're good to go. We've got until the 4th of January that we're running this. And like I say, hopefully it's a really good opportunity for someone to win a prize that's not only good, but ultimately it's going to save your club a load of money. So it's a good one. It's a really good one. We're really proud to be able to partner up and do this.
Yeah, and again, link for that will be posted out throughout December. One is already on my timeline. Scroll through there. One will be going out tomorrow as well. So make sure you turn your notifications on from my Twitter timeline just to make sure that you don't miss out on that competition for your club. Once again, a huge shout out to all of our partner clubs for the show. A link for all of those, a list for all of those clubs involved is on the screen at the moment. If you want to become a partner club, like all of these guys have done on the screen here, make sure that you contact Adam via Twitter and he will get your name added to the list. Massive thank you to all of our Patreon members, and we've had a new Patreon joining this week. A massive thank you to Sam Ward, who joins the list of people that are Patreon members. So for those of you who don't know, I'm posting a link into the chat. This is a way in which you can donate on a monthly basis towards the channel and towards the running costs of it. Ultimately, what I'm looking to do with this show and with my channel is to go part-time. That's the ultimate goal. And this is helping in a massive way towards that. So if you want to become a Patreon member, it is in the chat right now. And also just a massive thank you to all of our Kofi members who are one-off donations towards the channel. And again, keeping us, the running costs of things like the microphones, the system, and all the stuff that we do. A massive shout out to everybody who has put any sort of donations towards the channel. And again, just posting the link for the Kofi page in the description. Again, if you want to get involved, then please feel free to do so. So, Adam, jam-packed show. Let's get everybody's hellos up on the screen because you are flying in. Dean Cooper, evening, fellas. Have a good one as per. Nothing like a manic last-minute breaking news Monday for you.
Again, used to it.
You really do. I set aside the moment my son goes to sleep from 7 o'clock, I'm on the laptop because I know that hour and a half, there's always something to talk about and there's always something to get ready and cover. So I'm prepared, but it never doesn't make it any easier. Shem's in the building. Evening, Jones. Hope you're well. Matchday Marketing, obviously sponsor of the channel. Evening, guys. Hope you're doing well, my man. Thank you so much for the work that you've been doing behind the scenes, mate. We really appreciate it.
Been a busy week. We've tested him even more.
We're quite demanding, aren't we, Adam? Let's
yeah. I've got to be honest.
Addy Ellis is in the building. Evening, mate. Hope you're doing all right.
Oh no, Jake.
There's a bit of an ongoing joke with that one. If you know, you know. Alex Eggleton, evening, gents. Hope you're doing all right, my man. Mike Oakley, hope you're all right. Tony Stone, evening, good evening, gentlemen. Bucks is in the building. Hope you're well. Wondering who's starting their league games this weekend.
Topical.
We'll get into that later on. Tony Stone is in the building again. Stuart Spreadbridge, evening, Jones. Hope you're all right. Gary Stannard, hi. Good evening to you all.
Hi,
good evening, mate. Glenn's also here. Evening, gents, as well. Sean Watson, obviously fantastic what he does over at Crane Sports and the footage that he provides. Evening, chaps. Hope you're doing all right. Not sure what the hedgehog's about though. Any idea?
I might know. It's a very romantic little picture he's got there.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice.
I'll draw attention to that.
Yeah. Alex, good evening, gents. Hope you're all right, mate. Steve White, evening all. Jamie Sandlands, obviously we met on the weekend. He was at the game this Saturday that we covered. It was really nice to put a face to the name because obviously
awesome
we chatted with you guys.
Yeah, awesome to meet some contributors.
Yeah,
at games. Absolutely love that, and it's very random. We didn't know Jamie was going to be there. And I had a really good chat with him afterwards. Solid guy. It's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Have you got everything dry from the weekend? Almost.
I was cold for hours after that game.
Yeah, that was because it was just constantly on and off. You could never really work out what was the right thing to do, but I'm sure everyone had that experience over the weekend. Evening, gentlemen, another packed show. # only one non-league show. Absolutely love that, Dan. Absolutely love that. Maverick UK, hello. Ben Frow's in the building. Evening, another good show, no doubt. We hope so. Craig Chidlow, evening all. Connor Ellis is here as well. Paul Musgrove, evening, lads. Paul Kitson, evening, lads. There's loads of you
pouring in tonight.
You are really pouring in. Sean tells, evening, lads. Adam's forgot his hat today. Yes. Where is the hat?
My hat's behind me, but the problem is I've got a green screen directly behind me.
Right.
So the issue that I've got is that, like, if I just do this and press this button, I'll take the magic away. This is literally like in touching distance. So if I turn around, everything's going to get knocked over, and I'm not getting up again. If I'm being honest with you,
we could put it in the bloopers.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to do it. So I'm locked in and I'm ready to go. I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Magic's back again.
Spencer Swan, good evening. Great video on Saturday as usual, guys. Really, we really appreciate that,
Really
mate.
enjoyed that.
Evening, gents. If anybody has any questions about the club websites, happy to answer. Connor is obviously the creator of Club of Creative. So yeah, make sure you hit him up over on Twitter, and he will answer any questions you've got about that, a bit more than myself and Adam can. And John Ward as well. Evening, lads. Love the profile picture. That is absolutely superb. What we love to see. Keep your messages coming in throughout the show. We've got, obviously, as everybody knows, we've been talking about it a lot this week. We have got Nick Garnham from Suffolk FA on the show tonight. We will be getting to Nick in about 5 or 10 minutes, but we just have a few quick news items to go through, and then we will bring Nick up on the screen. So the first one that we want to talk about this evening, we have the announcement coming from Grunsborough today that a new manager, they're looking for a new manager. A very, very brief statement from them this afternoon just said that Matt Carley has decided to leave his position as first team manager of the club. We would like to wish Matt all the best in the future and thank him for all of his hard work during his time with the club. A further statement will follow shortly. They obviously knew that we're going to be talking about this tonight, so they've decided to leave the statement for tomorrow morning. Fair play, lads. Fair play. Fair play to you. But we'll talk about that next week. Don't worry, we're not going to forget. But I then had Matthew reach out to me on Twitter, which was really good of him because he didn't have to. I didn't approach him about this. I got there on my lunch break and I had this message come through. So I've got a statement from Matthew about him leaving, which obviously for those of you who are regular subscribers to the channel, you know that I interviewed Matthew during the summer about this season and what was going to be happening. So he's just simply said that due to difficult circumstances happening at the club out of my control, I have decided to step down as manager. I'm looking forward to spending my weekends with my family over the Christmas period. The club still means a lot to me as I currently live in the village and also have good friends there. I look to make a return to local football after Christmas, but unsure if that will be as a player or as a coach. I wish the club all the best for the rest of the season and seasons to come. Adam, that's the first time you've seen that statement. What do you make, especially of that opening line?
You love to put surprises on me, don't you, James?
I want first reactions from you, Adam. I don't want you to have time to think about these things.
It's really tough, to sort of know what to make of it. With Grunsborough also saying that they're going to sort of speak more with a further statement. So obviously, there is more news to come out of it, and I wouldn't really want to speculate on as to why things have happened or anything. But he's obviously felt it's the right time to step away, and I'm sure there'll be changes at Grunsborough, and they'll be able to move forward. I don't want to appear too woolly about it, but I don't really know enough to be able to pass comment either.
Well, it's not been a great start to the season for them. They're in 10th place. They've won 1 game, drawn 1, and lost 4. Now, they are a few games behind quite a few teams in the league.
Who isn't at the minute?
But well, yeah, that is true. That is very true. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't really know what to make of it. I suppose, as you quite rightly say, we'll find out more, I suppose, when we see Grunsborough's statement. If they want to clarify
statement, we 100% need Grunsborough's statement because they are very much both interlinking. I mean, Matthew's obviously saying that there's things out of his control that are happening at the club, and the club are, they've sort of said to me there's a few changes going on there, and they've reached out to me today as well in terms of forming the partnership with the clubs and that. So they obviously want, they want to be in the spotlight with what we're doing and stuff as well. So, I'm sure there's honest reason for why things have happened.
Yeah.
But all the best, though, to Matthew with whatever he decides to do over Christmas, and, a much-earned break, a hard-earned break, because it's been a tricky start. for
Yeah,
everyone.
it's been tough for everybody, hasn't it? Let's face it. So let's bring up some comments so far on the screen. First of all, Alex just says best brolly holder I've ever seen, Adam, from Saturday's perspective, which is brilliant. Yeah, so great club, great youth in there, reserves. Whoever goes there will have a very good base to work on. Daniel Barner said the Gunsbury reserves are on fire at the moment. So again, it kind of backs up that point to say, they've got a good squad to kind of go in on and have a look at next season. So we'll see. As I said, I think really we need to see the Gunsbury statement before we can kind of make any sort of judgment.
Yeah.
On that. One other news item as well is we do have to give a massive shout out to Sam Marsden, who is set to play his 400th game for Sporting 87 this weekend. If you go onto Suffolk FA's website, there's a whole article that's written about this as well. So big shout out to those guys for reaching out to them, to Sam and to Sporting 87. He's had 2 yellow cards.
Lad's scared of a big tackle, isn't he?
I love that that's what you took from it.
Nah, that is one heck of a record. I mean, like some people get that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Very
Honestly.
true. Debut at 16 years old and only 2 yellow cards in his entire career. Very well thought of at Sporting 87. So yeah, massive shout out to Sam. And if he does get on the pitch, which I'm sure he will do, you don't make this big of a hype during the weekend and not play him. Fair play.
400th game. I hope we haven't cursed it.
Yeah.
that would be terrible. But no, what an achievement though. Like you can't buy loyalty these days. Like do you know what I mean? It just players skip about in terms of playing with their mates and stuff, and to play 400 games at one club is it's unreal.
Paul Kitson, but he has 23 red cards.
See, that's how you filter information. That is, Paul.
That's it. Bucks is saying wouldn't want him in my team with 2 yellow cards. Alex has said the SIL Gary Lineker. The Philip Lahm of Suffolk non-league football. That's a comment and a half. Dan Bahada says Dean Cooper gets that in 1 game. Absolutely brilliant.
It's almost an expectation that you get a yellow. It's sort of a prerequisite, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, we thought we'd just we thought we'd give Sam a bit of a shout out. Great achievement, well done, mate. As I said, I hope this game goes really well for you on the weekend. Obviously as a neutral, I don't mind what the result is, but I hope you have a great game, mate. I hope you really, really do. Adam, one other bit before we get to the main point of the show. You wanted to give a couple of shout outs to 2 people leaving some roles this week.
Yeah,
just explain about that.
Obviously, like just in terms of promoting local football and stuff, there's a couple of people that I'm aware of in the community that do a great deal to promote respective clubs and are leaving roles, which is quite sad, really. Like Bevan Asher has stepped down from Kings Lynn, and he does a lot of the video media, and he really started their filming of games some time ago and has done a lot of content with them and formed really good relationships. And he's decided that due to sort of for a few reasons, he it's not something that he wants to be involved with anymore, and he's going to be looking for a new challenge in the new year, I believe. And then also today, sadly, I learned that Lee Simons is stepping away from Thetford. Again, so a little bit more local to us than Kings Lynn. And so, he was someone that was filming games and providing coverage, doing podcasts with them and stuff. And so, that both of their contributions will be sorely missed in the interim, but I'm sure clubs will snap up their willingness and sort of get them on board as soon as possible. I've had a chat with Lee today, and he's disappointed to be leaving, definitely, but he's also looking forward to a new challenge. So all the best to both of them, and hopefully they're not out of the game for too long, because the content that they bring to the community, we all love like watching goals and stuff on YouTube, like and on Twitter. Like, we take it for granted. Sort of 10 years ago or so, the league never had that coverage, and we really need the people that do provide it.
Yeah, Definitely. So yeah, just that was a nice recognition for both those guys. Obviously, despite them leaving roles, they will be. You would like to think they will be snapped up pretty quickly in the upcoming days and weeks and whatnot. But yeah, right. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. We've been talking about it all week, and yeah. I don't really think there's much need of an introduction, but I'm going to bring in the main man from Suffolk FA, Mr. Nick Garnham, into the chat. Nick,
evening.
How are you doing, mate? You well?
I'm very well, thank you. You, James and Adam?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you very much, first of all, for agreeing to come on and talking to us this evening and representing Suffolk FA. First of all, why did you feel it was important to kind of come on the show? What was the main reason for coming on?
Obviously, we're aware that you've built up a strong following over the recent months, and it's always good for us to reach out and connect with new audiences. And it just seemed a good fit to approach yourselves, particularly after some of the comments 2 or 3 weeks ago, which I felt needed addressing. But we had a very amicable chat with both of you at different times, and it was during the course of speaking to Adam. He said, "Well, you wouldn't come on the show," and I said, "Well, why wouldn't we? You know, if you invite us on, then happy to come on. Whether I'll still be saying that when I've finished, I don't know, but." Yeah, it's good to interact with our audiences and hopefully put a few things out there that maybe people aren't sure about, or maybe you've got the wrong end of the stick, and hopefully clear up a few things.
Yeah. So just to clarify on that point, just before people start jumping in the comment section, there was a couple of points. I think was it 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. I can't remember when that show was, where we were kind of spitballing about certain cup competitions and the rounds involved and stuff like that, and we were kind of just giving examples of different scenarios that could come up where we hadn't quite got the rounds right. And I think there was it a sponsorship? I think I can't remember exactly where there was a couple of things that we said on there which were slightly incorrect. But it's good that that you reached out in terms of that, that respect, because we're willing to to sit down and learn and have those conversations with people. We don't think that we are authority and we can't be challenged on these sort of things. So we really did appreciate you reaching out to us.
Yeah,
so same coming on, really.
One of the things Adam mentioned was about the Senior Cup being a midweek competition, which ironically this season it may become more of a midweek cup competition as clubs try and play their league fixtures on a Saturday. So I'm sure that's something that you'll wish to talk about as we go on.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into one of the first things that we wanted to talk about then on tonight's show. One of the things that did come up was about the cup competitions continuing this season. We've talked about it a number of times on the show, where I don't know, I might be speaking out of turn for Adam, but from my perspective, I 100% do not agree with the cup competitions going ahead. I was really glad to see certain leagues, for example, like the Furlough Nunn, pull their cup competitions out. They made that decision to do that, which, I fair play to them. And it might sound a bit hypocritical considering we went to film a cup game a couple of weeks ago, Adam, but that's by the by. But from a Suffolk FA perspective, you will probably get it in the neck from certain people who don't agree with the cups going ahead as well. What's the FA's kind of stance on it? How much leeway do you have in those decisions? And ultimately, what kind of are you in a position to be able to say, we don't think X should go ahead, or we don't think this should, or we want this to go ahead? What's the position from the FA?
Okay, well, first of all, the county cups are very important to us, and I think it's fair to say to the clubs. Well aware that the leagues have pulled the league cups. If we were to pull the county cups as well, there wouldn't be any cups now that all the clubs, bar literally a couple, are out of the FA Vase and the FA Trophy, and that's only a small percentage of the clubs that you cover actually play in those competitions. There would be nothing but league games. And obviously, something that I'm aware of is that a lot of people said the season ended too early last season. They pulled the plug too early. We managed to complete the county cups because we wanted to, and there was an appetite there for the clubs to continue with them when we came back, and they were finished. Most of them still had semi-finals to play. I think the only one that went straight to the final was the Sunday Cup, which Jim United and Brandon Town Community were in. They'd got their semi-finals in before we went into lockdown back in March. And it's important for those players and those clubs that got to the semi-finals to be able to finish that. I know not everyone's going to agree with the decision, but put yourself in the shoes of, I know we've got James Buckle listening in. His side, Ipswich Wanderers, had got through the semi-finals. We didn't think it was fair to deny those clubs the opportunity to potentially play in a county cup final. I know the final wasn't ultimately at Portman Road like we would normally have it, but it's still a county cup final. And in years to come, that's a memory that we wouldn't want to take away from those players. So rolling forward to this season, we're keen to try and complete the cups, but we'd be naive to think that it's going to be all plain sailing. There's obviously a lot of bumps in the road, and we have sort of paused the Premier Cup for now because of the clubs higher up the non-league system have got bigger problems because Step 3 and Step 4 aren't playing at the moment. So that's 6 of our club, 3 at Step 3, 3 at Step 4, who aren't playing at all. So whether the Premier Cup will be able to continue, we'll have to wait and see at what stage those leagues go back and how they're looking with their fixtures as to whether that can be completed. The good thing about the Premier Cup is that it is quite a short competition. Most teams win one round and they're straight into the quarterfinals. So there's not too many rounds to be played, whereas something like the Primary Cup, where there's a lot more rounds. We had another round at the weekend. Obviously, they've got further to go. So, all things being equal, yes, hopefully we can complete them. But the one thing that's totally out of our control is whether there's any more lockdowns and also the weather. So, we don't know that we will be able to definitely complete them, but we will reassess sort of probably late February, early March as to where we are. And if we're beaten by factors outside of our control, so be it. But to stop now and then have a good winter, the weather not intervene, us not go into lockdown, and clubs be looking around thinking, oh, if only we still had the Primary Cup or the Junior Cup to be involved in, it would have been a mistake to stop them now.
So speaking quite broadly of it, about things, would you, obviously we don't know what's going to happen going forwards in terms of the league being, how far we might be able to take that. If there's, if we stop playing games altogether again, it's going to bring all sorts of things into doubt. Would you be keen to keep those competitions open for as long as possible to give us something to play for if we were in a position where we could resume fixtures, say in May, by the time it was too late to finish the league?
I think we'd have to see how far we've got with the cups. And obviously we consult with the leagues as to, how they're fixed. We'll be aware of, clubs like Bury Town have only played, 5 league fixtures? And already you're thinking that's an awful lot of fixtures they're going to have to play in the second half of the season. So, I think we'll keep it open as long as we can. We don't want to make an early decision to pull the cups. And if we can complete them, great. If we can't, so be it. But who's to say that we might not end up? I'm not saying we will, but obviously we rolled them over to this season. That's a possibility that could even happen again.
To ask quite a difficult question on that as well. After people being a little bit scarred by the outcome of null and void as such, would you say at some point the cups may have to play second fiddle to the making sure the league gets played to to try and make sure we don't end up in the sort of, I don't want to say muddle because it was clear cut what was happening, but so that event doesn't happen again. If are we really going to put the focus on getting the league through and making sure all of the restructure and everything can go ahead properly that is planned for some of the leagues?
Yeah, we're well aware of what's happening at the leagues level. We keep a close eye on all our leagues, and it would be remiss of us not to be aware of their situation and whether they're going to be able to fit all their fixtures in. So, as I say, we will take that into account before deciding whether we are able to continue and potentially complete the cups during the course of the season, whenever it is going to finish.
Okay. I get what you're saying. I'm still of the feeling, and it doesn't matter what people say to me, my mind is not shifting, and I don't know why. I can't seem to get the other side of the argument to make sense in my head, because I get why we fulfilled last season's cup, although I didn't agree with it. I do understand why, because obviously to deny those people the opportunity is, it is harsh, and it probably was harsh for myself to come out and say, look, I'm not covering it. I'm not talking about it, because as far as I'm concerned, if you null and void last season, that doesn't count. But that's the separate discussion. The cup competitions moving forward for this season, I still can't understand why they're taking place, because we're in a situation where we've already had the first lockdown affecting the start of the season. We've now had the second lockdown, which is taken away another month. We have got winter coming up, which, has already seen fixtures cancelled over the past 2 weekends. For me, I don't understand why we would put the potential cup competitions in place on certain weeks now and risk having another situation with the league again. I can't understand why that decision has been made. So from somebody like myself, and there might be people in the comments I don't know, or people listening to this at home as well. What is the FA's thinking behind that? Do you see what I'm trying to get at? Because I still can't make heads or tails of it. Because surely the league is the most important thing, right? Or am I wrong?
It depends. I don't know. Yeah, the league is, as everyone calls it, your bread and butter. You play in the league every week, and I guess everyone wants to be league champions because that proves you're the best team in the league, and that's all well and fine. Not got a problem with that at all. The cup competitions, whether it's the Suffolk Premier Cup or the Champions League, offer a different route for clubs to be successful during the course of their season at whatever level they're playing at.
Yeah.
So we're going to
I suppose are the FA looking to just kind of keep some sort of normality throughout this season?
Yeah. We're just tentatively proceeding, James. And if we get to the point where it's clearly not going to happen, then we'll concede defeat. But as I mentioned earlier, we don't want to pull the plug on them now and then find that we could have ended up getting them completed. It could be some cups finish and some don't. I mentioned, step 3 and step 4 teams. You'd have to say at this point in time, the Premier Cup is vulnerable because those clubs aren't playing at all. Whereas at the weekend, we had matches in the Suffolk Primary Cup on Saturday, and then on Sunday there was a Suffolk Sunday Cup. There should have been a tie in the Sunday Shield, and there was I think 4 ties that were scheduled to be played in the Veterans Cup. So there were matches in various competitions, and we will try our utmost within reason to get the matches played, but there could well come a time where that's not going to be possible, and we're not going to bang our heads against a brick wall if it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Sure, fair enough. Dan Snell has made a point in the comments, and I just want to bring it up on here, Nick. He's just said, with Needham and Leiston both not playing in the league at present, wouldn't it make sense for them to be playing their Premier Cup games pretty soon? I don't know the full ins and outs on that. Are you able to kind of answer that?
Yeah, I believe that they were hoping to have discussions, because they obviously played each other in the Base FA Trophy on Saturday.
Right. Yeah.
They could have doubled up, couldn't they? Could have played both. Both matches.
One play back to back, get it done.
Why not?
So yeah, I believe they were, going to speak about the possibility of playing the Premier Cup match, because it makes sense to try and get that played if we can at this stage, because they're inactive in the league. That said, obviously they played last Saturday. Whether they'd want to play 2 Saturdays running's a moot point, isn't it? But there's also, you're no doubt well aware of the potential festival of football involving the clubs at step 3 and step 4 level. That's been
yes, I have
on the table. So that could give them games in that as well. Let's not forget, Needham are still in the FA Trophy. Fingers crossed they'll still be in it come tomorrow evening after a very tough tie away at Gloucester City. But their participation in the trophy may influence what happens thereafter in terms of the Premier Cup getting played sooner rather than later.
But the Festival of Football is a interesting idea, obviously, to get a bit of revenue through the gates and, the standard footballing reasons. But beyond that, it also feels like a bit of a rebellion against the fact that the league have not let them play. And those clubs want to get their games on and want to sort of get through things. And it's sort of proving a point that they can do it. They can play. And to put these cup games on now, it kind of feels like that would very much be a sensible idea if they can get competitions done that are outside of the league and still try and use some of December's playing time where weather and other factors let them. Like you just said, if we can get those games on, it really does seem like the sensible thing to do. Ultimately, we've committed to starting the cups now, so if we can do a bit more on them, just get them done.
Yeah, no, fair.
Yeah,
fair
I mean, the National FA, obviously, we had the FA Trophy on Saturday. The next round is tomorrow night. The FA Vase was only a fortnight ago, and Stowmarket are playing again this weekend. And Stowmarket aren't playing any league games, are they, at the moment? So, it's a good chance for them to progress, hopefully, in the FA Vase.
Adam, don't comment.
They did very well in last year, and hopefully will continue to do so this season.
So I think definitely. With that, the FA Vase is an odd one, isn't it? Like, they're still planning to finish last season's FA Vase, so there's obviously still the consensus there. Again, exactly the same as what you've said with the local cups. Like, you can't whip that opportunity away from underneath clubs. So have the FA taken that stance generally nationally? Because I don't really know outside of our county what happened with cup competition.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't been keeping a kind of an eye on it, because Paul's made a comment here saying, why have some FAs nationally decided to pull cups already and other FAs have not? So is it something that's kind of widespread, or is it just on a county by county basis?
Yeah, it's county by county. I mean, quite a few county FAs decided, having football finished in March, not to finish their county cups from last season. I think we were one of the, I wouldn't say minority, because I don't know the exact figures, but I'm certainly aware other counties decided to pull the plug on their county cups. Whether you agree with that or not, or whether you think they should have finished or not, every county is obviously different. And we'll do what they feel is best within their county.
Sure.
We chose to finish them, other counties didn't.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Dean has got a question on here, and it kind of ties into what I was then going to next going to ask you, because he has said on here, why have teams been given the option to not play this month? And again, the question that I kind of wanted to ask you is that we've seen it at different levels. Some leagues saying no, some leagues giving up clubs a vote. Some, I'm not going to get into the kind of the politics of it. It depends on whereabouts you are in the country. Some of it seems a bit political in terms of who's voted for what. Some leagues, for example, like the Furlough None, gave teams the options, and then it's down to yourself whether or not you decide to continue. Again, what's the FA stance on all of this? How much power do you have in these decision-making processes, or is it not really within your control? Because again, it's something I don't know a huge amount about in terms of who ultimately gets the final say on everything. I suppose the government probably does overall, but what's the FA stance on everything? What position what kind of position of power are you in?
Yeah, all the leagues are run by their own committees, so we don't have any influence directly over whether the Thurlow Nunn League play or the SIL play. That is up to their league committees, and as you say, different leagues have handled it in different ways. What's the right way? What's the wrong way? It's very much up to the individual to make that judgment call. You've got some clubs like Kirkby and Pakefield came out quite early on, didn't they, in the lockdown, and said, we're shutting down. A lot of people didn't agree with it, but Kirkby had their reasons. They'd had club members who'd had COVID. And I guess at the end of the day, it's about safety. And if people don't feel safe playing football, at the end of the day, football's to be enjoyed. If you're going along to either play or spectate and you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe, you're not going to enjoy it, then what is the point?
Yeah, true.
So where's your stance on these clubs then that are then asking for friendlies after maybe nailing those colours to their mast? What we're then seeing is the embarrassing situation where some of those clubs are then asking for friendlies. And I'll be honest, some of the reason I've been told when I've approached it is, well, it makes us extra money that we didn't have planned in for the season.
Talking about the Festival of Football involving Sudbury and...
No, absolutely not. No, the teams lower down in the pyramid that have maybe said that they're not going to play throughout December and have then been spotted on social media openly requesting friendlies. And that's quite an embarrassing situation for our local football to be in when there are teams out there that are prepared to go and get the games.
I would imagine that their leagues would probably have something to say about that. If they're not prepared to play league fixtures, but they're looking to play friendlies, then I would imagine the leagues would be having a word with them. We can't influence that. It's up to the leagues to make that decision whether they should continue or not.
I was going to say, going back to kind of like the original question on that part, do the leagues ever come to you for advice about what they should do? Do they ever ask for anybody's opinion? I don't, because again, I don't know the internal side of things. I don't know how it all works. So you're kind of saying it's all done by league thing. But do they ever come to you and go, well, what stance should we be taking? Do those conversations ever kind of take place, or is it not really?
Leagues do speak to us, obviously, because we are the governing body in Suffolk. So every club that plays in Suffolk and every league that plays in Suffolk is affiliated to Suffolk FA. So, it'd be wrong of them not to enter into a dialogue with us if there's something that they need to talk about. And we will, basically our role is to be there to help the clubs, to develop them, to help them grow and support them as and when we can. And obviously during the last year, it's been an extremely difficult time for everyone, and we've done our utmost to be there to support our clubs and leagues through it. It's been a horrendous time for volunteers, and they deserve all the credit for managing to get football played in the county in some very difficult circumstances. There's a lot of extra work being placed on the shoulders of clubs, club chairmen, club secretaries, club treasurers, and everyone else that's involved, from doing the gate to working behind the bar. Those people have really been fantastic this season and deserve great credit for keeping the game going at grassroots level.
Yeah, you mentioned about the support packages, and that is the whole stance of the FA, is to be there to support clubs. What kind of things are in place for those who don't know, fully what kind of options are available? If clubs are struggling, if clubs are needing help, what kind of things are are there in place from an FA perspective? What can you do to help clubs who maybe are watching this at the moment, who are struggling, who haven't reached out? What kind of things are there in place?
Yeah, I mean, there's been various sort of packages available at different times, throughout the year, really. The Football Foundation have been fantastic in their support of grassroots football with the various pots that money's been made available through. The clubs have been able to access. And I know that the Premier League often get a lot of stick for not seemingly helping grassroots football, but they plough a lot of money into the Football Foundation, which then comes down to the clubs. I won't go through because there is so much, so many different pots that money has been made available through. But
right.
Ongoing, we've got the Suffolk FA emergency grants and loan schemes. Right at the start of lockdown, we made £84,000 available, and two clubs, Haverhill Borough and Achilles, came to us, and they were struggling to survive, and we were able to help them out to ensure that they didn't go under, and they're both obviously still playing this season.
Yeah.
So we've been there to help them through that, and as far as sort of on a wider scale, we're still waiting for details of the winter survival package that was announced by the government last month to be made available, to see what funding there's going to be for, I think that's essentially the National League system clubs, step 3 to 6. And then hopefully there'll be money after that for the clubs below that, but we've got to wait and see how far that trickles down.
We're clearly in an ongoing and ever-evolving situation, all linked to COVID. We don't know what's around the corner. And I think that I speak for a broad array of clubs to say that if they were told to stop playing again, it would cause serious concerns as to the viability of carrying on. Do you think that the support packages that have been put in place so far, do you think the money that's there already and coming will be enough, or do you think that we could have to go further to try and ensure football can remain on and keep being played in the future?
Difficult one to answer, because obviously no one knows how much longer this is going to go on for, Adam. I think we all hope that football is going to return to normal, certainly by the start of next season. I think this season, it's just a case of everyone doing the best they can to get through the season, whatever that takes. If, like last season, it ends up that we can't complete the season at whatever level, then so be it. It's one of those things that is just out of everyone's control. With the best will in the world, Suffolk FA, the FA, we can't influence what's happening in terms of coronavirus. It's a national or international pandemic. It is unprecedented times, and hopefully we'll never have to go through this again. I think, everyone's had enough of it, but it is what it is, and we've just got to grit our teeth and try and see it through. And hopefully all our clubs and leagues will be able to, regroup and start again next season, and hopefully everything will be back on a more even keel.
Yeah, I think there is just genuine fear amongst communities that clubs will go. Clubs that have been there for a very long time will have to fold, and through no fault of their own, other than the fault of what's been the hand we've all been dealt. Some clubs are more buoyant than others, naturally, but it would be a real shame to lose these community hubs that have served people for so long and given people so many memories. Because of something that's already taken so much away from people. So it's just a thing where it's interesting for us to know that there's packages in place and there's the will to try and do as much as possible to keep everybody there. But for me, the question's always going to be sat on my shoulder as at some point the money would have to stop. And is it going to be enough to get us to a situation that it's one where we can't see the end of it? We don't know how long it's going to go on for. And this season, like you've just said, it just feels like we're juggling. We drop a ball and then we pick a different one up and we try and go again and we just wait until something else gets chucked in. It's been so weird.
Thank God we're in tier 2 again, because if we went into tier 3, Jesus Christ, I don't know how a lot of these teams would survive, because we should be tier 1 other than a few towns, but that's a conversation for another day. But thank God we're in tier 2.
Yeah,
because there are worse counties off than us at the moment. Overall, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, especially up in the northeast, where I've read and seen a lot of articles. They are really, really struggling, and we are in a very, very good position. But it's good to know that there are those kind of support packages. And if any clubs are watching this, just contact the FA and just see what can be done. I think that's probably. Would you say that's the message to give out?
Absolutely. If clubs are struggling, please get in touch with us. We are here to help. It's interesting with Crane Sports. Obviously, they released the statement saying that they were going to have to cease and they were withdrawing from the league. We then contacted Cranes and said, look, we're here to help you. I know they were able to come to an agreement with their landlords, which has enabled them to continue. But yeah, clubs like Cranes, if anyone is in that situation, please come and speak to us and we'll do our utmost to provide them with the support necessary to continue. Because we don't want to see clubs folding. Our job is to get people playing football, keep people enjoying football, and being there to help and support the clubs, particularly, during the past year, has, given us a lot of pleasure being able to help those clubs to ensure that, they're able to do what everyone loves doing.
Yeah.
Does it remain as quite a serious concern for yourself and everyone at Suffolk FA at the moment that's something you need to pay a real close sort of bit of attention to at the moment to try and ensure that support is there? I mean, I'm sure you have meetings and there's hot topics every single week, I should imagine, but is the sort of state is the state of club finances and the continuation of grassroots football really sort of coming to a head and being at the peak of those meetings?
Yeah, obviously it's top of or very near the top of the agenda all throughout this period. Obviously there's been very little football played. I found myself writing stories for the website instead of previews to county cup matches and reports of county cup matches, how clubs can get hold of funding, and reporting on. And there's been some great stories about funding that's come into the county. You shouldn't underestimate that. Some clubs have had really sizable amounts that have enabled them to, continue with projects. Berry Town, the new stand they had put up there, and floodlighting. Walsh and the Willows have had money for the development of their clubhouse, given that a good refurbishment, and the same at Needham Market Youth at Crowley Park. They're just three off the top of my head. And all that money come from the Football Foundation. And they're projects that aren't anything to do with COVID. They're ongoing things that the Football Foundation provide money for clubs to be able to develop, provide better facilities, because at the end of the day, good facilities, whether that's changing rooms or pitches, are key to people's enjoyment and keeping them playing.
Yeah, definitely. We asked you guys on Twitter to send in some questions if you had some to us, and we'll try and get some of those read out. So I'm going to go through some of those with you, Nick, if that's all right. So we can just read off a couple on here. So senior cup games being played midweek. If you don't have floodlights, you'll be sacrificing home advantage or paying to hire a neutral pitch. If you're at a neutral venues, is there do you think the option should be that costs should be split? Is a question on there.
Okay, so I did see someone say that Suffolk FA were insisting that clubs that didn't have floodlights played, a match at a ground with floodlights. That's not the case. We've asked clubs if they would consider flipping the fixture. So if you're a team that's been drawn at home and you haven't got floodlights, and you're drawn to play a team that do have floodlights, that is an option. As I said, if we can get the county cups being played without affecting the league fixtures, and for an SIL club, that means playing obviously on a Saturday when you don't need floodlights because they can't play midweek at the moment. But if they're willing and able to play that away at a ground that has got floodlights, be that at the ground of the team they're playing or at a neutral venue, then that will enable the fixture to get played and the cup to be able to continue. So, we're not insisting on it, but it is an option that we've put to the clubs. So hopefully, if you're an SIL player, the chance to play under floodlights, I've sometimes heard teams say, "Oh, well, we don't want to play under floodlights. That's not fair on us because the other team that we're playing, they play under floodlights regularly." But I don't really see that argument holds any water when the semi-finals normally played under floodlights and the finals normally played under floodlights. So you may as well get used to it. Otherwise, it's going to come as more of a disadvantage if you're going to be playing under floodlights for the first time ever in what could be, the biggest match of your season, if not your career for some players.
Is the crux of that question, though, just really relating to the fact that teams don't want to have to pay out for the pitch hire?
I think
if you can underline any part of that question, they're really asking, is there a way that fees could be shared?
Yeah. So if the game's played under floodlights, then the host team can charge a gate as a step 6 side would do if they were hosting anyway. So yeah, there's chance there, for the money to be sort of recouped. Clubs should make themselves familiar with the rule, surrounding that in the county cups. So yeah, it's not a case of clubs are going to be massively out of pocket. It's more a case of trying to get the fixtures played without disrupting the league programs.
Yeah, sure. Okay. What does Nick and the FA see as the biggest threat to grassroots adult teams, and how are they mitigating this threat?
Yeah, so I guess that's aimed at sort of male football rather than youth football, or
say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got various different types, haven't you? You've got your National League system clubs, you've got grassroots Saturday afternoon football, and then you've got grassroots Sunday morning football. So some of those things are within our control, such as the quality of facilities. I mentioned, changing rooms and pitches, and referee performance, because obviously we monitor the referees. Other things are more down to do with the club's culture, and they're linked to youth teams. So if you've got a good youth setup, then you're hopefully going to have players coming through, which will safeguard the future of your adult sides. And then other things are down to the players' control, which is game discipline. Whatever we try and do, at the end of the day, if players misbehave, that's down to them. And there's other factors which are out of everyone's control, such as work patterns. Obviously, we're aware more and more people working longer hours, more unsocial hours. Football, well, the Premier League and so on, it's no longer a 3 o'clock Saturday. In fact, it's played any week at any time, isn't it? So, there are different pressures. The traditional family unit, there's a lot of, broken homes, if you like, and players that maybe could have played every week now maybe have, children to look after every other week, and that impacts on whether they can play. As say, also with work patterns and shifts, that impacts on people. So there are various different factors that some of which are within our control, but quite a few which are outside our control.
Yeah, fair enough. Next question comes up in so what is the situation with regards to sin bins? Is it still a rule, as no one seems to mention it? In my opinion, most referees forget about the option. What were the FA trying to achieve by it, and have they been monitoring it to know the results? Now, this is a subject that needs no introduction to this channel, quite frankly, because we've discussed it. We had probably about 4 or 5 weeks worth of discussion at one point, and we had at some point.
We even had we actually even saw an incident that actually proves the theory on Saturday. Like someone got booked.
Yeah. And the ref actually said, "I'm booking you because you swore." And I thought the whole point was that the sin bin rule then came into play instead of that. So, yeah, let's go back to the original. Let's go back to the original question. So, what is the situation in regards to sin bins? Is it still a rule, as no one needs to mention it? What were the FA trying to achieve from it? So let's get back to that crux of that question.
Okay, yes, it is still a rule. I think when sin bins came in, people thought that they were going to be seeing 3, 4, 5 players in the sin bin every game. But if you stop and think about it, you don't get 3, 4, 5 bookings for dissent in every game. You may get 3, 4, 5 yellow cards, but they'll be for fouls and other offences, not necessarily for dissent. So, yeah, if a player is guilty of a dissent offence, they should be sent to the sin bin and not yellow carded and allowed to stay on the pitch. I think, if we're being honest, some referees have struggled with that, not helped by the fact that last season we went into lockdown and we didn't have a full season. And then we've come back this season and we've gone into lockdown again. So in fairness to the referees, they've not had a completely full run at it. It's something that's been a bit stop-start. But, it is something that the FA are monitoring.
So you're aware of certain incidents that happen. Do you see, I don't know what the FA does in terms of what they actively look for, but do you see things like social media posts where people are talking about the rules not applying? Because we see it regularly, don't we, Adam, where people constantly, after Saturday night, every single game, they talk about the sin bin rule. It comes up on every night. Sorry,
I've heard refs physically come out and say that this isn't something I want to use today. I don't like that rule. So just watch what you do as we go. Whereas I get the point of it. I get why it was introduced. I get why what the objective of it was. But I do wonder if it's the actual ability to use the tool is quite difficult for a referee, and that's why you don't see it. And I wonder if the idea being good and the ability to carry it out and actually, perform the action and keep an eye on a stopwatch as someone sits down for 10 minutes and bring them back onto the field to play at an appropriate time. I just wonder if it just starts to get too much, and maybe the theory of it is easier than the practicality of carrying it out.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think the fact it's been stop-start has definitely not helped referees in their defence. That said, they were given training at the outset, so they should know, how to implement the rule. And basically, cases of discipline, we did see a marked reduction because at the end of the day, it's there as a deterrent, because no player should want to let his teammates and his side down by being sin bin for 10 minutes, because that can prove very costly during the game. And we all want to see football played in a friendly environment where you can take your family along, and you don't want to hear people, with cases of dissent, making it a place where you wouldn't want to take your family. So that's very much why it was brought in to basically clean football up. We've all heard, the argument, why is it rugby is so well disciplined and football's not? The FA trying to do something about it. They deserve credit for that. Trying to clean the game up, trying to make it more family orientated, somewhere where you can go and enjoy yourself on a Saturday afternoon. There has been a reduction in the number of cases, but obviously because we didn't have a full season last season, you can't compare like for like. And again, this season, because of the interruptions, it's not going to be possible to actually see whether the number of cases, is compared to 2 years ago when we had a full season. But
taking those elements
it's an ongoing situation.
So sort of taking those elements of the stop-start and the lockdowns out of it, it's just actively a rule you're looking to back, enforce, and keep on top of in terms of bringing down dissent and cleaning the game up.
That's why it was brought in. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was piloted in quite a few leagues. I think it was 17 leagues around the country before it was brought in. I think there was one or two teams in Norfolk. Leagues in Norfolk that tried it, and it worked everywhere. And I think the figures were something like, it was a 38% reduction in dissent cases. So it was proven to work. I just think it hasn't managed to get that momentum and become the norm. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have done, but there have been extenuating circumstances that haven't helped, shall we say.
Yeah. Irvin's comment here, I don't struggle with it, I use it, but I find players don't understand what dissent is, but one person's dissent will always be another person's question. It's a good way of summing, it's a good way of summing it up on there. We did have a comment a little bit further up from Maverick UK, which I'm going to bring up on the screen in a moment because it ties into what my next question from the audience is. When will the FA charge players directly for their fees rather than the clubs? We have a next to zero chance of getting this money back, and we cannot afford to take the hit. I can't remember what club posted that, so apologies. It will come to me, I guarantee, the moment the show finishes. I can't remember who said that. But Maverick UK kind of backs it up and he says, it's interesting that the club's issues come down to finance, and yet Suffolk FA still hits clubs with large player fines. When is it going to stop and the FA charging players directly? Now, the first comment will kind of brush past on that. Has there been ever any discussions about charging the players rather than the club? Or is it the club's responsibility because they're the ones that are technically hiring the player? Do you see what I mean? I get where people are coming from this question, but again, what's the FA's kind of stance on it? Because this can't be a Suffolk thing. This has to be a national thing.
Absolutely, and it's continued to be a bone of contention, and this is something that we regularly put to the FA. And whether this changes once all the leagues are required to use online registration, which will be from next season, we don't know. So it is possible, but
that's interesting.
We're going to have to wait and see on that.
Right.
Now, the football debt recovery process does help clubs in certain circumstances, but when it's used correctly, what I would say is clubs need to let us know as soon as possible, because claims are only valid for cases in the last 112 days. So that's 4 months. So if you try claiming 6 months afterwards, you're not going to be able to get that money back. And you're not going to believe this, but we actually had one case in the summer where a club was trying to claim money back from a case dating back to 2012. I mean,
Right.
No one, is going to, whatever it is, whether it's an overdue book at a library, you're not going to get your money back when it's that far in the past. So hopefully, things will change in the future, but we can't say when. That's obviously got to come from the FA nationally.
I think it's like an array of issues at the moment that clubs seem to be having that we get fed. The clubs just want a little bit more protection, I think, from the FA. This is one of the things. And I think the other one was the whole game system, where there was true fear between teams, where people were knocked up disciplinary points, but they couldn't get on the system to check them and stuff like that, when that was an issue a little while ago. And it just seems to be, we get fed the odd issue where I think teams just feel like they just need a little bit more support, so it stops the club being in a situation where they lose money or points, basically, which will lead to them losing money at the end of the day normally. So I suppose it's just maybe some work to be done and some things to be looked at there, where the clubs could be protected better, and maybe in the long run there could be a more dynamic system where players are responsible and teams are notified about eligible players very quickly, rather than needing to join this system. But
again, this is a national issue, isn't it? This is not a Suffolk FA thing. And I think this is where a lot of clubs, and I'm not kind of poo-pooing their argument, they deal with Suffolk FA. So they see Suffolk FA as the enemy, whereas it's not that at all. You are enforcing you're enforcing a rule that's in place for the whole of the country. It's not you, and it's not you sitting there making the decision that's the one benefiting. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, James. Our hands are tied, and we obviously have to do what has to be done. We sympathise with the clubs. No one wants to be taking money from clubs, if we can avoid it, but we have to do what is in place. Hopefully this is something that will improve in the future. So
that's reassuring to know. It's good.
Alex has put on here, do you think the appeals process is fair on players, as sometimes it's easier to take a ban or a fine? I've never, ever been in the situation where I have to go through this kind of stuff, because I've never been involved at a club on that part. But
tough question in that as well.
Is it something that you're able to kind of just explain very quickly about what the ins and outs of it is, or is that too much is it too complex?
Obviously, every case is different, and I can't comment on individual cases. The easy answer to that is don't get booked. In the first place. I know that's oversimplifying it. Every player at some stage in his career has been booked or sent off when he or she didn't feel they should have done. It happens. Referees make mistakes, but tell me a player that hasn't made a mistake or had a stinker. It's part of football, and that's what makes it the great game it is. I mean, look at all the problems with VAR, and we're talking in the multi-million-pound Premier League.
Yeah,
and people want that scrap, don't they? Yeah, it's very true.
So Maverick asks, how do we influence this national issue? How do we get representation from Suffolk FA, as we have no voice at the FA? What can we do other than just coming on a show like this and people put their comment in, and we talk about it and we go, you're probably right, or no, I don't agree with that. What can we actually do? Are those discussions already taking place?
Yeah, as I said, we've been lobbying the FA for change, because we're well aware of the problems there are with the clubs, and as I say, we do sympathise with them with the football debt recovery process. So it's something that we want to see changed, and I'm sure lots of other county FAs want to see changed, and I'm sure in time, but quite when that will be, we don't know, it will be changed. In terms of what can clubs do, I guess a lot have already made their feelings known to us, and we've passed those feelings on, because it is a system that isn't, or doesn't appear to be fair, when a player can leave a club and with unpaid fines, and then the club's saddled with that fine.
Yeah,
It's almost like there needs to be an open discussion platform that's constantly there. But I think the problem with setting something like that up is if a club doesn't have success with getting their issue through, they'll then never use it again, and you've wasted all your time setting it up anyway. So it's really difficult to know how you can sort something that would be an ongoing discussion of things without just being a once a year AGM meeting or something.
Yeah.
People enjoy a platform to talk. I think this show proves that.
Yeah,
if nothing else.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna wrap things up with one final question because there's been quite a few comments coming through about this one. It's to do around the side of mental health. Obviously, as Ian alludes to on here, Suffolk FA need to continue to build on mental health support. Football is such an escapism for a lot of people. And Psychics for Sports mentions on here, are Suffolk FA considering or champion any mental health charities to help players and referees? So, I mean, it's a bit of a broad kind of question, but what kind of things are in place at the moment? What kind of things are in place to kind of help people if they need it?
Okay, so if you go on the FA website, there is a lot of information on there about mental health that people can access and use. Obviously, it is an area that requires expertise. So we point people in the direction of the FA website nationally to be able to get hold of that information.
Yeah. Fair enough. Is there something that you're considering from a local perspective getting involved with, or is that, again, do those kind of things have to be done on a national level?
Getting involved with in what way?
I don't know if there was like a local charity or something like that reached out to you. Are those kind of things in terms of the campaigns that are put in place? Are they more of a national decision about how to get involved with certain aspects of it? If you see what I'm trying to come from, there's like different categories that you can have campaigns about. Are those kind of decisions done overall, or are they done region by region?
Well, the FA have got the National Heads Up campaign, haven't they? That has been running now for a couple of years, and the FA Cup was called the Heads Up FA Cup final, wasn't it, last season? So it's not something locally that we've really got involved with. It's more done on a national level. But never say never.
Yeah. I mean, Luke puts on here, Karma, a great mental health charity with football, with grassroots football. So that's potentially something on there. But yeah, Nick, really, really appreciate your time and coming on to the show tonight. There's been a lot of topics covered, a lot of discussion. I know certain people in the comments. I think no matter what what somebody from the FA will come on and say, will have a certain opinion about certain things. But I think a lot of people has kind of opened their eyes to a lot of topics. So really, really appreciate you coming on and giving your time up this evening to talk to us, because I know from Adam's perspective, obviously the conversation that you two had, it was very important for you, Adam, that Nick came on as well, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously my comments at the start, I didn't really think the show had escalated to a level where we'd got, where we could have these discussions, and your willingness to come on and answer things and be prepared to be part of the conversation and the chat is so important in building those bridges between the FA, which can sometimes seem out of touch for some people in terms of unreachable. So to have that communication and to start sharing issues that people have got and getting some answers and responses to them is absolutely vital for what we're doing. And if you could come on again in the future, if you'd like to, the door would be open and we could have another chat about whatever's topical at the time. Football's a fast-moving world, and I'm sure you'll always have something to say for it.
You're getting a lot of love. I don't know if you can see the comments that are coming up on the screen here. Very honest and open about everything. Top stuff, Nick. Hope to see you soon. Dan Snell, class from Nick yet again. Fair play for you for coming on the show. He did spell your name wrong, but that's by the by. Well done, Nick. Top lad on there. Well done, Nick. So refreshing to see not only you coming out, but people just not hammering the FA. Yeah, I agreed. The comment section has actually been a lot calmer than I thought it was going to be. So really appreciate you coming on. Again, from your perspective, do you think, I mean, has it been worthwhile from your side of things to come on the show, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. To say it's good to engage with audiences, and I know that an awful lot of people do come and listen to your show, and so it's good for us to be involved. Appreciate you giving us the opportunity, the platform to do so, and I'd just like to say, well done on what you do for grassroots football at a level that in the past haven't had that much exposure. I know you're at the Claydon Haverhill Borough match a couple of weeks ago, and you delve lower down the leagues and that. And it's great for those clubs to have you guys come along and feature their game and make them feel special for a day. So, appreciate what you guys are doing. And thanks very much for the opportunity to come on the show and talk to people.
Nice one. I'm going to leave you with this comment, Nick. You need to get a few more Christmas decorations up. From Sean.
Goodness sake.
Absolutely brilliant. But again, really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, Nick, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Have a great Christmas.
Yeah, good Christmas and Happy New Year. Great show. Great interview that. I really enjoyed that. It was very, very eye-opening because, again, I come at things from a fan perspective. Do you know what I mean, Adam? When I say that, So I think very much at the beginning, I was, this is the course. This is how I kind of see things go. Do you know what I mean? But that was really interesting to get a lot of topics covered because we had a wide range of items to go through and talk about. But to have a load of those questions answered was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just interesting to have a different discussion. With someone else in the football community. And I hope with the feedback.
That's terrible, Paul. That's absolutely terrible.
I hope that the feedback from the community that we've got, we can pick some other guests from different places. We've been really blessed in the last few weeks with the range of people that we've had on, and I thank everyone that's come on so far. And also a huge thanks needs to go to everyone that's actually shared the show, that's helped us reach a wider audience. Before we go on to the next stage of tonight's show, it's probably just worth thanking everyone we've had really good numbers again tonight, and sharing what we're doing that amongst all these different people and amongst your own little Twitter communities and on Facebook and stuff. It's really good because it's getting more people involved in the chat and it's giving more people a voice, and more people are being updated on local football. Same applies as what I said last night. If you are watching on YouTube, which 75 of you are now, press the thumbs up button on your screen anywhere on whatever device it is, because it will push Suffolk non-league football to more people's suggested watch.
Yeah, boy.
Give us a thumbs up to try and put Suffolk football and push that conversation to more people's suggested.
Definitely.
Brilliant.
So, we're going to go into the Super Six. Let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about all of the fixtures coming up this week, and also talk about the results from the weekend. So, Adam, Super Six time. What's happened this week? You mentioned on Twitter there's been some big numbers this week.
Yeah. Well, last week I told you you were absolutely. I told you from the heart you were rubbish. I was disappointed in everyone. Most of us got 0 points on the Super 2 that we ran. You'll be really impressed that we actually had 6 games that got on and that you could score points on.
I know. I
so absolutely incredible. 6 games that we had to choose from, and we had some big numbers come in. So if we can bring up some tables, we'll have a quick chat about it. We've had some good movers.
Let's bring up the competition side of things to win the chance to win from Football Kit Box. Obviously, we partnered up with those guys for this month. So who's done well this week? I see a lot of people on 9, which is incredible.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of people I'd want to point out are Gavin Turner and Drew Kendall, neither of which scored last week and got 8. But Ant Stowe, 9 points, top scorer this week, absolutely smashed it.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Top score this week, but there's so many 7s and 8s this week as well. So absolutely amazing, like in terms of overall performance. Poor Ben Hall, who was at the top of the table last week, stays on with another 4 this week. So Mr. Consistent. But I thought if we get about 10 people on it, I think there's 9 people on the chart at the minute before someone pulls me up in chat. So like we'll get sort of about 10 people on here each week, and it just gives you an idea of what we're competing with. But another week of big numbers like that, because like if you got 4 or 5 points this week, you had quite a poor week.
Yeah.
It was that good. And we had several people that got everything in terms of every result right. A lot of the people that scored 6 got every single result right, but no accurate scores. But yeah, and absolutely amazing performance. 9 points.
What this just goes to show is that if you're sitting here thinking, my chance has gone, I'm not going to be able to get a chance to win this, you could not be more wrong.
Yeah, you wait until you see what's happened on the total charts.
Look at those numbers this week. If you have 2 weeks like that, you could quite easily win this competition. So
absolutely,
if you want to get involved in this week's, I'll be putting it on the screen in a few moments for you. But yeah, make sure you do. So after all of that, this is the updated league table. Adam,
look how narrow it's got in the top 5.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? That is absolutely ridiculous. Who's been the kind of big movers? Obviously, I know you kind of pointed out to a few people that have done some big numbers this week. Who kind of stood out for you?
I want to pick up on Drew. I mentioned him earlier. He's only ever entered this about 4 times.
Right.
And he's on 27 points.
Where is Drew? Oh yeah, 40th. He's right behind me.
Yeah, he's only done this 4 or 5 times.
Wow,
27 points. So flipping it, I didn't see that comment. People are catching up with Spreads. Spreads is slowing down a little bit on his point scoring. He's not quite as wild as he was to start with. Tommy Smith staying right up there. Jordan May's keeping up the pressure as he was. Alex scored well again this week. And it's just really tightened everything up. But that mid pack is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Between 27 and 36 points does the whole sort of mid 20, whereas the gap between the top 20 is between 37 points and 55. So
yeah,
only 9 points in it in the mid 20s. So some proper good scoring. Alex, you didn't enter, mate, and look how far you've dropped. This tells how good we were this week. So Alex didn't enter this week. He was 7th beforehand, and he's dropped down to 12th just by missing a week. So stay on it, everyone. Just keep staying on it because people are climbing fast.
I knew Alex would be happy with his score in 4th place. Where have we got? Paul says
sure Alex got 7.
Did he?
Yeah, I'll just double check.
Yeah, so dropping like a stone.
Yeah, it was 7 points for Alex, and out of the top 10, that was the highest scorer.
Yeah, incredible. So this week's Super 6 then, these are the games that we have selected before we went live tonight. And again, we'll post the link in the chat. If you can't reach it, if you can't fill it in now, we will be posting the link for the Super 6 throughout the week. So if you do want to get involved, click the link now. Apologies, Facebook users. It says that it's not going through. I'll try again in a few moments. But this week's Super 6. So we've got Stowmarket versus Norwich CBS. We've got Thetford versus Walsham and Willows. Ipswich Wanderers versus Distown. Halesworth versus Henley. Wickham versus Kesgrave. And Ufford versus AFC Yorkshire. So we've gone for a bit of a mix this week. We've decided that we want to get some top of the table clashes in there. So you've got Ufford versus Yorkshire. You've got Halesworth versus Henley. We've got a cup game in there, Norwich versus Stowmarket, where Norwich have been playing cup, been playing league games. So they will have possibly an advantage of match fitness in their tank. But Stowmarket are an incredible team. We've got a Furlough None game in there. We've got a top versus bottom of the table clash. We've got a bit of a mixture in here. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to score points. It's how well you can predict certain games.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? There's opportunities this week for people to score points, but I think that I think personally that's a good choice of fixtures.
the prize of the football kit box is now hanging in the balance midway through, with it all being concertinaed up. So we thought we need a couple of results in there that might, really separate the field if we can. So do your best. There's about 70 to 80 people in the competition for this month's special prize. We've done our best to get hold of something that you're all going to enjoy. Footballkitbox.com have helped us out, and I hope the person that wins really, really enjoys it, but you've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've already had one. There he goes. There's Dan. He loves a comment. Halesworth home again. That's 3 on the trot. I didn't realize we picked them that often. Have we picked them that often?
I don't pick, James. You do.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, shift the blame. Shift the blame.
We couldn't have picked them 3 on the trot because we've only played 2. Didn't they? They didn't play last week, did they?
I don't know.
I don't care.
Alex Eggleton, great fixtures in there. Halesworth versus Henley is going to be really difficult to predict. I 100% agree with that. That's why I put it in there, mate. That's why I put it in.
His prediction straight out there. That's strong.
I'm in, says Stuart. Sean Watson, up the shirts. Dean Cooper says, I'm in. Archie, Dis are going to beat Ipswich Wanderers. Alex, I can't believe I didn't do it, and I shared it to loads of people. Brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm in, says Tony. Dean says, yep, Halesworth are going to win. Sorry, Henley, as well. So, yeah, plenty, good. There's a good array of fixtures on there. So, as I said, if you want to get involved in the Super Six, it's now there for Facebook users as well. Make sure you enter this week's to be in with a chance of winning Football Kit Box. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
All the early entries as well.
Yeah. Your phone must be buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, we're going off. So get in early so you haven't got to worry about it. And I'm not going to give my prediction, Archie, because I'm in the competition. Yes,
I've gone bold this week with some of my predictions, haven't I? Because I filled this in now before we go live, just because Adam always says I forget. I've already done mine. I've gone pretty bold this week. I need to do some making up in points wise, so I need to go hard or go home. I'll be in later in the week. Ryan Garner's done his. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Charlie says Halesworth are going to win 5-1. That's a bold prediction.
You know what? People put in some really brave predictions last week, and someone got the 4-3. I can't remember who it was that was playing, but someone got that right.
Yeah, amazing stuff. So, yeah, if you want to be in with a chance of winning that competition, as I said, make sure you hit the link, leave your predictions, and share it around to as many people as possible. Right, Adam, let's get into some fixtures that took part over the weekend. First of all, let's talk about some FA Trophy results. Needham beat Leiston 2-1, and unfortunately, we saw Felixstowe exit the competition against Basford United 3-0. From Felixstowe perspective, you could just see that on Twitter, though, they were very proud of their team and what they managed to achieve and get to that point. Disappointed to see them go, but I think most Felixstowe fans kind of accepted the result and said that they just didn't deserve it on the day. Basford were just a good team.
They said Basford treated them really, really well as well, and they all had a great day out, but it is unfortunate. A few mixed sort of reports on Leiston's performance on Twitter, just from different people.
Right.
But 2-1 is a much narrower scoreline than I was expecting, if I'm honest, based on league form alone.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
For me, it looks good on paper, but there are a few people questioning the effort on Twitter, which I felt seemed very harsh when you've only lost 2-1 away from home at Needham.
Yeah, who are doing very well this season.
Yeah, really odd.
The FA Trophy fixture for this week, then. So, as we were speaking about with Nick just a few moments ago, the FA Trophy does continue this week. So Needham are away against Gloucester City. Unbelievable tie.
Stream as well.
If
anyone's interested, I might as well give a shout out for that through Gloucester Stage. You can stream. the game, so it's £7.99, I think. Someone from Needham's in the chat. You can post it. But tough tie for Needham, but big tie.
Yeah, definitely. There was one FA Vase second round tie to mention. Mulbarton absolutely demolishing Coggenho United 5-0. What a result. Absolutely unbelievable against a team in a higher league to them. We mentioned it when we were there, Adam. They're a great outfit. They're a really good team. Are you surprised by that?
Not looking at the way they played, they're utterly ridiculous when we saw them. I said they would fit in perfectly in Furlough non-Premier. They'd look fine. They missed Norwich CBS off there as well. We beat May and Baker 2-1 to advance. So that's just worth a shout. But
Dan was there actually. Dan, if you've got anything you want to say on that game, I know you were very high of praise on Twitter, on the weekend. But let us know what you thought about him in the comment section.
Yeah, definitely. But I'd recommend anyone going along to watch Mulbarton based on what we saw. Like, definitely check out the match experience just for the sake of having a look. But go and watch him, and there is again another lovely welcoming experience when we went there.
Yeah, they were great. They were really good with us.
Really enjoyed it.
Considering they are in inverted commas north of the border, they were very nice to us. They were very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, Dan's got involved. Mulbarton were on another level Saturday. Anyone looking for a Vase game Saturday, go give them a look. So the fixtures for this weekend, then we've got some FA Vase third round action. So Fakenham are against Milton Keynes Irish, Leighton Town versus Galston, Mulbarton home against Amtill Town, Stowmarket versus Norwich CBS, and Wellingborough versus Norwich United. What tie are you looking forward to, Adam, just before we move on to the Furlough None?
Goodness knows. Milton Keynes Irish knocked out Wroxham, didn't they? So them against Fakenham is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting tie.
But a lot of these ties have kind of lined up quite nicely for the Step 6 teams. Like, obviously, Norwich CBS have got a very tricky tie if you base their league form on anything. But to look at the others, like to see teams from the same level playing against each other, I absolutely love, because I love to see the teams in Step 6 progress as far as possible in this competition. From a money point of view, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Furlough non-Premier, we had one game from midweek, which was Clacton 2, Walsham the Willows 2. So Desmond played out in midweek. And then we had Brantham 2, Wroxham 3 in a top-of-the-table clash. It sounds like an absolutely amazing game to go and
watch. Game. Yeah, it was really good.
100%. Haverhill 3-1 against Clacton. Walsham then getting another draw, this time against Ely City, and Witton losing against Norwich United. I think that was a very late goal, wasn't it, for Norwich? It came quite late in the game. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, Witton were down to 10 men from about midway through the first half. And from what I can make out, it was a very, very odd sending off. That quite contentious. Where it may have been even a mistaken identity, perhaps.
Right, okay, that's interesting.
The thing I'd call out of that batch of fixtures, that is one heck of a result for Haverhill Rovers.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
They have been struggling, and Clacton have got a good attacking team.
Yeah.
We all know that Walsham have been going well this season. They drew with them midweek, and then they've been turned over by Haverhill. So Mark Abbott and his boys are going to be really, really happy with that result. Really happy.
Definitely. So this is what it means to the league table. So we've got Wroxham, who are still on their 100% record. Absolutely phenomenal start to the season. Them and Norwich United, they've created a bit of a gap now. That win for Wroxham over Brantham, there is now an 8-point gap between second and third place. So there's already starting to be a bit of a shift away from those guys. Obviously, we've still got Mildenhall and we still have Stowmarket, who have got plenty of games to play and catch up on. But there does seem to be two early pace setters in this league.
Absolutely. And Wroxham have seemed to have been good value for it as well.
Yeah.
Norwich outperforming a lot of people who thought they'd struggle, including myself. You got, the league looks good this year. It really does. A lot more even. Kirkley have defied the odds and still stayed in the mix. Like points wise, although there's not been too many games played, they're not going to be playing for a while. But I thought they'd got all their points out the way early doors. So
yeah. But yeah, great win for Haverhill there. And this is what it means in terms of the fixtures coming up for this week. So we've got Bramford versus FC Clacton, which I can reveal is the game that we will be covering tomorrow night. Really excited to get myself down there because I've never been to Bramford. I don't know. I only know what we talk about. You've been there before, Adam, so you know
several times.
Yeah, so you know quite a bit about them. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So there should be a good matchup there. It'll be interesting to see how both teams recover after their defeats recently, especially from a Bramford perspective, because that result of the weekend will have hurt them. And then you got Galston versus Wroxham, which again, that's a brilliant tie. Really.
Signed 2 players as well, one from Leiston and one from Lowestoft. They are not stopping.
Yeah.
Galston's squad is looking ridiculous.
Dan's given us
Bacon, I think Harrison Bacon went to Galston just before the show started. A few of you will know him. And a young whose name I can't recall from Lowestoft.
There you go. Hope Shane and Witten start turning it around. Love win, says Dean on there. Then the weekend's action, we've got Clacton versus Ely, Hadley United versus Witten United, Thetford versus Walsham Willets, and Wroxham versus Stanway Rovers. Furlough Nunn North results. We didn't have any midweek games, but we do have some weekend action to cover. So we've got Sudbury Reserves 1, Great Yarmouth 3, Debenham 2-1 against Haverhill Borough, Diss 3, Sheringham 4, which looks like a brilliant game, quite frankly, on paper. Fakenham and Lakenheath, the top of the table clash was 1-1. Needham 2, Ipswich 4, Wisbech St Mary 2, Cornard 5. That's a very good win for Cornard. Very, very good win and much, much needed. Adam, standout result?
In context, if Cornard hadn't have won that game, they would have been furious with themselves, to be honest, because they needed the points desperately.
Yeah.
So it really stands out as a very, very contextually important win. I want to give a shout out to Sheringham. Again, I know they're Norfolk based. They scored after 30 seconds, and then the game was pulled level 3 times before they got the winner.
Right.
So yeah, thanks, Alex. Couple of big games in there. I know Wanderers, it wasn't straightforward at one point. I think that was at 2-2. So some really interesting games with a lot of goals. But for me, contextually, Cornard's win is very, very important to them.
Definitely. So this is what it means to the league table. So we've got Fakenham and Ipswich still at the top with March right behind them. So not a huge amount of teams played over the course of this weekend, but Sheringham moving up into 8th place. Cornard's win lifts them up to 13th in the table, so they climb quite a few teams with that win. So very much needed. And there's a few teams kind of stranded towards the bottom of the table. Midweek action sees Kings Lynn Reserves versus Downham Town in the only midweek action. Sorry?
I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, could be a very, very good game. We then got Sudbury Reserves versus Wisbech St Mary, Downham versus Needham Market, Yarmouth versus March Town, Ipswich versus Diss, Lakenheath versus Cornard, and Sheringham versus Kings Lynn. Again, standout fixture from that one, mate.
This is a difficult one. I think Wanderers. I think Wanderers need to go and make a statement at Diss because goal difference in this league looks top of the table.
Yeah.
I've called Wanderers out a few times on some games where they need to go and make sure they get the points and stuff. But this could be their game to try and start adding to that tally, with Diss having quite a poor defensive record. But again, AFC Sudbury Reserves not in great form. Wisbech St Mary, they're going to want the points wherever they can get them. Let's not forget they did get a win before lockdown.
True.
AFC Sudbury Reserves feel like the right team for them to have a go at the moment.
But Sudbury will be thinking exactly the same thing about Wisbech, won't they? Now's our chance to go and get a win. So that's they'll both be eyeing this one up.
That's a game I'd love to go and see, if I'm honest. I think it'll be a real battle.
Yeah, definitely. SIL time. Let's go into the Senior League and let's talk about some of the results that happened in there. So, Cops beating Claydon 5-3. Claydon were very damning of their team on Twitter, weren't they? You sent me the screenshot.
We were having a chat about it, weren't we? I was shocked when I read it. I don't know if any of the boys are in the chat tonight and they know how. I don't know. I know they're a little bit upset with the way they defended the week before. But this week it seemed to go another level in terms of their feelings about the result. And Cops have had their own struggles this season. Let's not forget.
Let me just read this out. So this is what Claydon put out on Twitter. A clinical Cops take all 5 chances presented to them yesterday to beat a wasteful first team 5-3. Fair play to Cops and hopefully a wake-up call for many of the hype believing wannabes in our squad. That is damning.
It is, but Cops needed that result.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I don't know. That
it's hard to read, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't know what to make of it when I first read it, but fair play. It just says hashtag points make prizes, hashtag take your chances, hashtag attitude.
Take your chances is an interesting one because that result the week before in the cup would have been completely different if they would have done.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah, up the Cops, says BF on there. So we've got Halesworth beating Westerfield United 5-1, Hawley 2-2 against Crane Sports, Henley 4, Bournevale 2, Ransoms 0, Benelson Mary 2, and obviously that was the match we were at this weekend. So if you haven't seen the match day highlights on there, make sure you go and check that out before after we wrap things up on here. And Trimley 4, East Bergholt United 3. Now, before we kind of talk about the standout fixtures from that one, we do have the highlights of the Hawley versus Crane Sports game to show you in a little video. So for those of you who are listening to this one, just turn your volume down ever so slightly because the wind in this one, unfortunately, there's not an awful lot we can do about it. But here are the highlights of Hawley Crane. And that was a last-minute equaliser for Crane as well. You can see how devastated the Hawley United play as well with that one.
Yeah.
But what's your standout result from that? There's a lot to pick out. Is there one that you can really pick out?
For me, with the positions that the results Cops have got against Claydon, there isn't really another one you can pick, is there?
Yeah, no, it's hard to not choose that one, to be honest. Yeah,
I don't just pick the obvious one, but for context, again, that's surely the one that you need.
Ryan, I would love to show the flick, but we do. Well, no, the link that I was sent was for the full video, and unfortunately, I can't put the full video up on the screen because it's far too big of a video file. So make sure you go and check. I believe it's on Ryan's page actually. If I just check my Twitter messages very, very quickly. Yes, it was. Ryan has got this. It's a brilliant skill. You might have seen it already. Sean's going to send it. Send me the clip, Sean, in an email, and I'll make sure we play it before the end of the show. There you go.
Can we shout out as well, just whilst we're on topics of games and stuff, the Henley game, Clark Bruce, 166 goals and 166 appearances.
Yes.
He's doing messy things again.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, that we'll go with that as a standout result from that one. So this is what it means for the league table. So we've got Halesworth at the top on 21 points, followed by Bennell and Trimley. Claydon dropped down to 4th place. We've got Bilston and East Burgolt in 5th and 6th, behind that chasing pack. But again, Henley keeping up their good starts of the season, and I've got a lot of games to catch up with everybody there. But they're just making sure that they're in touch and distance of the rest of the league. And again, we've got people like Old Newton who are now a couple of games behind. But that win for Cops just takes them out of the relegation zone into 13th place, and they can just breathe a little bit easier after that win. So yeah, very, very impressive from Cops. Here are the fixtures for the weekend. So we've got Bilderston versus Copplestonians, Bournvale versus Trimley, Claydon versus Hawley, Crane versus Leyton St Margaret's, Halesworth versus Henley, Ransoms versus East Burgolt, and Westerville versus Bennell. Halesworth Henley, surely that's a standout. That's a standout game, right?
You can't. I'm in tune with you tonight, James.
Yeah.
I pick much different to that. If I'm honest, like Ransoms based on form against East Burgolt, like again should be enough. You know, I know we've just been to Ransoms ourselves, but against East Burgolt, that's quite a proposition. That one, but yeah, I do fully agree with what you're saying there.
Alex, do you want to clarify what you mean by this one on there, mate? Just let us know what you mean in the comment section on there. So yeah, they are the fixtures for the Senior League. The results from Div 1, we've got Kesgrave 2, Tattingstone 2, Grunsborough 2, Stowe Falcons 3, and Sporting winning 2-1 against Bacton United. Very, very good point for Kesgrave, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've made a good start to life under new leadership, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So
seems to have had a bit of a bounce effect, doesn't it?
You could put it that way. I don't know if that seems a bit harsh, but it just seems like it's working.
Yeah.
When he spoke to us, he was very clear on what he wanted to do, and you know, that's another. It's a point in the bag, and it's a good one. It's a good point. A win for Sporting, a lot narrower than maybe, you know, a tighter game than they've faced against Bacton in previous seasons.
Right.
Historically, I think Sporting have done quite well against Bacton. So, but again, still keeping the win there, and Sporting are keeping up the pressure, as everyone will know.
Yeah, definitely on that one. So yeah, we have actually got something to mention on that one. Ben announcing stepping down at Ransoms to take a lesser role on there. On the Twitter page of Ransoms, it does say I've had a blast, but I'm stepping down after 2.5 years due to a third child expected. Skins and Paulie will take charge, and the club are in safe hands whilst I become a more ad hoc and there where I can. Apologies if Twitter may be less active over the next few weeks on there. We spoke to him on the weekend, so this didn't really come as much. Yeah, this isn't a shock to us, but it's a shame. But family comes first. Do you know what I mean? Family 100% comes first, and I think he's making the right call for him and his life.
Yep, agree.
Yeah.
I think what he said to us afterwards, after the game, is I think he'd said like he'll still be in the dugout occasionally, but like you say, it's family. It's just what suits. And
yeah,
I couldn't imagine leading a football team, just having the one child I've got. So with 3, I can imagine it would be horrifically difficult. But that's just me.
What I just want to say is what is now coming up in the comment section on here. He's done an absolutely remarkable job at Ransoms. Just simple as that. When he came in, that club was on a massive decline, and he's grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, and he's dragged him up that league, and he's doing things the right way there. So yeah, that is going to be a very, very big miss for them. And yeah, just a massive shout out to him, because when I first started doing the matchday experiences and when I first started interviewing people, he was one of the first people that I actually spoke to and actually gave me time of day to come across and actually speak to me. So massive appreciation on that part. So this is how things look in terms of a league table. Look, there's only 3 results to go through, so it's a bit it's a bit hard to kind of judge where we're at. But I mean, we've talked about Barham. This is one of those things. They've played 2 games this season.
They're not bottom though.
How are they going to finish this season?
I don't know. I don't think they appreciated my jokes midweek about them landing their plane and taking it off again.
Well, I don't think some of them watched the show.
Yeah, but goodness me,
it's an ongoing joke.
I don't understand at this point how they can even start and gain momentum. You're going to have a free pass for 3 or 4 weeks just to get yourselves up to speed.
Yeah,
it must be hard, keeping the boys' head in the game. I don't know if I follow anyone that actually plays for Barham, but I would genuinely like to have someone on from Barham to have a chat as to how you're just keeping football at the forefront.
Yeah, that's a very good shout. Very good shout. But yeah, that draw for Tattingstone and a win for Sporting, there is a 2-point gap now developing at the top of the table. The weekend's fixtures, we've got Bedricks versus Sporting, Stowe Falcons versus Bacton, Tattingstone versus Barham. Well, we'll see. Wickham Market versus AFC Kesgrave. Stand out from that, Bedricks versus Sporting.
Yeah, I mean, how many times are they going to play each other? It seems like they've played each other 3 or 4 times already this season.
Yeah.
I don't know. You say that. I just want to see Barham on the grass, but if they play that's not a nice game to get started against, is it?
No,
it's ridiculous.
There's not much tougher starts than
not at all. For me, you'd say Bedrick Sporting. I think Falcons Bacton will probably be a proper tasty one, if I'm honest. A bit of a local derby in there as well. I think that'll be quality.
Yeah, Stoke Falcons have had a very good start to the season, so I can back that. Div 2 time now. We've got these are the results from the weekend. So we've got Your Shirts 1, Cockfield United 1, Elmswell 3, Stonham Aspel 1, Melton 2, Saxmundham Sports 3, Thurston 6-1 against Ipswich Athletic, and Ufford versus Wolverstone. Now, I know people were looking at that top of the table clash.
Yeah,
for Ufford against Wolverstone, but for me, Thurston 6-1. That is my. If we did a performance of the week,
it's a monster.
But that's my performance of the week. That is an absolutely superb win. That is phenomenal.
But I think performance of the week is upcoming. That was called for today, and I think we can do that. I think people would quite like us to do a performance of the week in there, and I think this is the kind of thing that highlights that we can pick a team out that have done something tremendous each week, and Thurston's performance there to get a 6-1 against Ipswich Athletic. Sorry, Ipswich Athletic boys, if it feels like we're hammering on you a bit, but that's an outstanding result. And I mean, anyone that plays for Athletic might say, "Oh, we didn't turn up, or we had a hard game," but still,
there you go, Dan. Yeah, shame Athletic only had 11 players. Not fair on the club. Well, there you go.
Something about I didn't know if it actually meant only 11 people turned up. If that's the case, then puts different context on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's what we're saying is not a reflection on Ipswich. It's a reflection on Thurston about how well they've done. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think we should do performance of the week at the end of it. I love it. Great idea. We'll make sure we do that for next time. So this is how the league table looks. We've got Ufford and Melton, who are in the top spots. I still can't believe after the start Ufford had they're sitting top of the table. That's absolutely incredible. Saxmundham are directly behind. Obviously, I mean, how can you be third in the table with a -3 goal difference? That is absolutely incredible. That's like the Norwich. That is Norwich of the 92-93 season. You're near the top of the table, but you've got a minus goal difference because you just shift.
Hammered one week.
What, Norwich?
No, Saxmundham.
Oh, right. I was thinking, why are you asking about Norwich?
Good grief, James.
They probably did. I'd have to look back at the fixtures on there. But we've got a cluster of teams behind on 13 points. Elmswell still playing catch up with their fixtures, but are slowly climbing up the table. They sit on 12 points. Stonham still sitting at the bottom of the table. And there is, I mean, if Curtin can play some games, they've got the chance to overtake Ipswich now.
Can I just say as well, really appreciate the enthusiasm shown towards us going. People wanting us to go and see Ufford against Wolverstone. we had kind of already picked what we were doing and where we were going by that point. But anyone inviting us to see games and that, we do look, we do notice, and it does influence where we might go in the future to know that we are wanted to go and see places. So
yeah,
love it. Thank you very much.
there you go. I can reveal, I haven't decided which game I'm going to go to yet, but if I bring up the fixtures, potentially I'm putting it to a vote. But one of the games I'm going to on Saturday, two of the fixtures that are in the contention are in this one. I'm not going to reveal which game, but two fixtures from this league are in my vote. So if people want to see Div 2 on the channel, there will be a vote out on Twitter later on during the week. So get involved. But Ipswich Athletic versus Cockfield, Saxmundham versus Melton, Stonham versus Wolfstone, Thurston versus Elmswell, and Ufford versus Your Shirts. Standout fixture from that. Is it the derby, Adam, between Thurston and Elmswell? The A14?
It can only be, can't it, really? Look how ridiculous this is for Stonham. Like, you just want them to have a bottom of the table clash. How many weeks in a row have I had to say this?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, Ufford Your Shirts is a great call. Dean and Ian as well, both on it as well, thinking the same thing. It'll be a good game, that. But yeah, you've got to love a local derby. Thurston Elmswell. One stop on the train, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Sax versus Melton says on there. But some very good fixtures in this league. Really, really good fixtures on there. There was no Div 3 action. Obviously, there was a load of cup games, which there's too much to fit into one graphic and too much for me to go through. But the Div 3 fixtures for the upcoming weekend, we've got Aldborough versus Kesgrave, Bramford versus AFC Wanderers, Hope Church versus Unity, Ipswich Exiles versus Stage, Ockhold versus Great Blakenham, Witnesham Wasp versus Laxfield, and Wortham versus Bardwell. Bramford versus Wanderers looks very good. I quite like
the gap narrowed on them a little bit lately on the scoreline front as well, haven't they?
Yeah. I think maybe teams are going there with a little bit less fear, maybe. I think a few teams have kind of proven that they can win. But, you know, for the likes of Bardwell, for the likes of Witnesham, and for Kesgrave, again, they're looking at these fixtures and they're probably saying to themselves, we need to be winning these kind of games. And that's no disrespect to the guys that they're playing against, but form doesn't lie.
No.
So they all, because obviously all three of those are looking, they are right near the top of the table. So this is a good opportunity for them to really go and really put their stamp on the league again and just keep that momentum going.
Do you think Aldborough could be in for a difficult afternoon?
Oh God, yeah.
No,
I can't hide.
No, I think it could be a real tough one for him. Really do. It sounds like a religious convention, doesn't it? Let's not hide.
Yeah, really. Your Shirt's my second team, says Sean on there. Sean heard Debenham Reserves versus Bilderson Reserves will be a cracking game. Yeah, probably. I don't know a huge amount about the league that those guys are in, if I'm being honest. I don't know, Sean. I don't honestly know. Upper Exiles, says Jordan on there. So those are the fixtures. Those are the results from the weekend. We've gone past the 2-hour mark once again for the show. So we're going to bring things to a close, everyone. I really, really appreciate everybody who got involved in the comment section tonight and really made the show what it is. We're just having a blast doing these because Adam alluded to it at the point at the end of the interview with Nick. We started off this show and we thought if we can maybe get 20, 25 people watching the show, that's good numbers. But it's just been the momentum that this thing has gained has just been absolutely unbelievable. So
this was all born out of an idea from a podcast which got, most of the podcasts are still online and they've still only got 150 views.
Yeah.
You lot are smashing out 2,000 views across all platforms over the course of every week.
Yeah.
And are actually giving us content now in terms of what you want to see on here and feeding into us what you want us to do. And that's so important. We don't want to just make a show that's about what we want to do every week. It's about what you hear about in the local football community. Next week's the last one before Christmas, and hopefully we can make it a real celebration of the past few months that we've had together and have a laugh. And if people want to come on and have a chat with us and stuff like that, have a much more relaxed one before Christmas, before everyone eats a load of turkey. And
I think that's important because, you know, we're approaching that time of year where football is normally the mainstay of what we do during Christmas and stuff like that. Unless some breaking news happens between now and then, I think next week's one will be basically a come on and just have a bit of a chat with us. So what we'll do next week is probably we'll post a link into the chat. And if anybody wants to come on and talk about a certain thing in football, if they want to highlight something, whatever the case may be, you can either reach out to us during the week and we'll plan something in advance, or just come on the show live and let's just have a bit of a chat. And if there's some things you want to talk about, if there's a club you want to highlight which you feel like we don't, or if you want to talk about something at all, next week will be an open invitation. Just come on, feel free.
Come and talk about your club. Let people ask you questions about your club. Let's have a laugh with it, and at the same time, let's promote each other and promote what we do.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be absolutely awesome to do that, and it's something that we haven't really dived into yet.
Sean, I have the link. Let's bring that up on the screen. This is the highlight that everyone's been talking about, which was in the comment section. Scoop.
Lucky bobble, isn't it?
That was brilliant.
Clark.
Absolutely brilliant.
That number 6 looked a bit, just a little,
tasty. But yeah, an absolutely massive thank you, everyone, for getting involved in the comment section tonight. We really, really appreciate everybody coming on. Getting involved in it. And we just want to say a massive, massive thank you. As I said, next week will be a bit more of an open forum, an open session. Let's just have a bit of a laugh with it. But we really, really appreciate everybody getting involved. Remember, if you're watching this from a Facebook perspective, remember to share it to your timeline and hit the like button. Twitter, make sure you give the video a retweet. So that it appears on other people's timeline. If you're on a YouTube perspective, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully, by the point I come off the live stream, we will be at 1,500, which is just absolutely mad. Dan is already saying get Irv on, which does seem to be a bit of a common theme throughout the comment section. People want Irv on the show, so we'll see if we can make that happen. Well done, lads. Great to get Nick from the FA on, giving some answers to what we all want to hear. Great show again, and remember, happen to just enjoy football as much as we possibly can. Matchday Marketing just giving us a big thumbs up on there. On there as well. Toby Rose interview next week.
Everyone wants to interview Toby Rose.
Do you know why though?
No.
Okay, so I'll explain to you off. I'll explain to you offline. But there's a reason why people want Toby to come on for an interview. Oh, dear me. Yeah, if you're feeling down, go and watch Hope Church Res Unity. It will lift you. I like it, Dean. Absolutely love it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We really, really appreciate everybody getting involved tonight. It's been a great show again. And again, thank you very much to Nick for coming onto the show and representing Suffolk FA tonight. And yeah, I will see if you make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we've got obviously the match day highlights coming up tomorrow. We're off to Brantham, so if you are there, come over and say hello. We will both be in attendance this week. So yeah, come over and say hello. And there will be a game on Saturday as well. We'll make sure you turn your notifications on Twitter so that you don't miss out on voting, because I'm not bothered where I go this weekend. I'm going to leave a decision entirely up to you guys. But until next time, as always on the channel, thank you very much for joining us. Adios.